Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Melissa, and I'm here to lead you through all levels yoga. We are going to practice together for 45 minutes today. So as we go through class, just a reminder to listen to your body. If any of the stretches are not working for you, please skip them, come on out and modify. So as we go through class today, things that you'll want to have a yoga mat. And I really enjoy practicing with the yoga blocks. So these are exercise blocks. If you have them, that's great. If not, that's okay. So they're not a necessity for class, but it can be nice to have them as a prop. And also, I find that the blanket can be very helpful. So if you have those, grab them. But again, they're not a necessity for class. And you can also get creative. Think about things around the house that might resemble those. You know, a blanket off of the couch is great, or a pillow. And something that could substitute as a block might be a book or something like that. So as we go through class today, I wanted to start with talking a little bit about yoga. So I was reading a book today and I just thought it was so interesting. It was talking about yoga, the history of yoga, and I thought I could bring a little bit of that into our practice today. So yoga came from India 5,000 years ago. And if you didn't know, back then meditation was so important, and it's so important today as well. But back then, yoga was actually used as a way to prepare the mind and the body for meditation. So meditation was the main practice, and yoga was the vehicle that got you there. So a way of thinking of that is, if we go to meditation and we want to sit in stillness and silence and focus on, the present moment, or try to have a clearer mind, it can be very challenging. And especially if the body is a little antsy, you want to be like adjusting this and grabbing this or that, and, adjusting your clothes or adjusting the way that you're sitting. So yoga was used as a way to really try to get those fidgets out of the body. It really tried to exhaust the mind as well, so that when you were at the end of a yoga practice, you were ready to really take in that meditation practice. So I think that that's really cool. And, we kind of see that in our everyday practice as well. So even in our yoga class today, we'll end class with Shavasana, which is the relaxation time. And, if we think about it, we go through the 45-minute practice to really get our minds and our body ready for that last pose. A lot of yogis say that that's the most important pose of the whole entire practice. So it's kind of neat to see how that has, stayed true through the tradition of yoga, even over 5,000 years. Also, yoga, it translates to union in Sanskrit. So yoga is a really nice opportunity to, unite. It also means yoke. So to yoke together the mind and the body, to yoke together yourself and maybe something bigger than you, if you believe in that. So it's this, opportunity to yoke, to union, to bring together whatever that is that you're looking for. So maybe bringing that into your practice a little bit today. For me, yoga can be a really nice opportunity to unite my mind, my body, my spirit together as one. I love the idea of, yoking together breath and movement, and that really helps us to come into the present moment as well, which is another really nice benefit. So let's hop into our practice today. I wanted to work on the full body today. We're going to do a really nice full body stretch practice, really good for increasing flexibility, building some strength, and of course, we all love a little bit of relaxation for the mind. So we will definitely weave that into class. So let's get started finding a comfortable seated position. And if you'd like, you can take a moment to close your eyes. And we're just going to begin here in a bit of a centering. So this is a nice opportunity to release the day so far, whether the day has been good or bad, right or wrong, whatever we want to label it. We can just let all of that go. And knowing with yoga, with mindfulness, we can really begin, we can start again in the present moment. Become aware of where your body connects down to the ground. Maybe imagine that you are sitting against a wall. We would like to feel that our shoulders are stacked right in line with our hips. Imagine someone drawing you by the crown of the head by a golden thread. Take this time to drop in and connect to your breath. Connect to the rise. Connect to the fall of the breath. Try to lengthen your inhale and lengthen your exhale. And then as you're breathing here, maybe just watch your breath as it gently flows in and out through your nose. And as we go through class today, we'll try to keep that breath in and out through the nose. So we want to avoid breathing through the mouth. Sometimes when we breathe through the mouth, that can activate the fight or flight response. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose can just help to keep your mind and your body calm and relaxed and at ease. Feel free to set an intention for your time on the mat today if you'd like. And intention could be anything. It may be that you want to relax a little bit. It could be that you're holding onto tension and you want to let that go. So there's really no right and there's no wrong intention. Let's take a moment here and we'll begin with our neck. We'll start with a neck release. So gently lowering that right hand down to the ground. Let's bring our left hand up and over. Reach for the right side of your head. Take a nice deep full breath here to lengthen and then gently soften your left ear to your left shoulder. And then not trying to move with force on this one. It's just this very gentle suggestion of the ear to the shoulder. Letting that one go. Left hand lowers, right hand up, over. Full breath to lengthen. Let's begin to soften here. Right ear to right shoulder. Maybe notice if the stretch feels very similar on this side of the neck, the first side of the neck that we worked on. Let's bring ourselves back through to neutral. Left hand up and over. This time, take your gaze to the underarm and then let your gaze float down to the ground. So we'll just move into a little bit of a deeper and a little different neck stretch. Maybe notice if you're feeling any different muscles work here. So bring that awareness one side to the next side. Letting that one go, we'll realign, left hand down, right hand up, over. Let's lengthen. Soften the gaze down to the underarm and then down to the ground. Give yourself that opportunity to take a nice, deep full inhale and exhale. We'll gently release the hand down. Let's try to bring that right hand or arm. So either your hand will be down, we're going to bring arm up and over. And if you're able to go a little deeper, maybe lower the forearm down and then try to take the arm up and over. So if you're sitting on a block, that could be a little trickier. So I'm on that block, so it might be a little easier if I come on down. And just finding that ease in the stretch. So try to feel your left sitting bone pressing down. And then lengthen through that whole left side body, through the arm, and through your fingertips. Core engages. Let's bring ourselves back up. Left hand down, right hand up, over. Now see if you can roll this right shoulder back and also try to roll this right hip back a little bit. See if you can get into the stretch a little differently here. Let's bring ourselves back on up to center. We're going to take a nice deep full breath in here and then coming down to a fold on the exhale. So maybe gliding those hands out in front and maybe letting those hands walk you a little deeper into the stretch. Allow for your head to relax. Maybe look to your navel and then feel your head hang heavy like a weight. Floating yourself back on up through your spine, one vertebrae at a time. Let's begin to bring those legs right out in front, and we'll take legs into a 90-degree angle. We're going to lift up for a bridge. So feet are going to plant, knees will be bent. And then when you're lifting up, we're going to find those 90-degree angle in the legs. Now, if you'd like, you can tuck your chin, gaze down your front body. And you can also relax your head back as well. Maybe imagine that you could squeeze a beach ball in between your knees. So let your legs be really active here. Also try to get very grounded through the inside and the outside of each foot. So we're going to press through the 4 ball mounds of each foot. Let's begin to bring the hips down. Legs can cross. We're going to take ourselves back into seated. Hands, let's bring them together. Fingers will interlock, palms will touch, and we'll begin to circle out the wrists here. So maybe finding large circles and maybe finding smaller circles. And reverse, we will flow in the other direction. And letting that go, let's shake it out a little bit. We're gonna come down into our back. We're gonna work the core a bit here. So as you come down into your back, let's have our knees bent, our feet are planted, and we are going to tuck our tailbone. Gently support the back of your head here, so fingers will interlock, gentle support. Now, to really engage the core, maybe imagine if you drew a line from your navel down into the yoga mat, there was a little grate there that you wanted to squish. So we really want to press down, so our navel presses down to the mat, and you might feel your low back lift up a little bit. So that's how you know your core is engaged. And we're going to try to keep that engagement of the core through these exercises. So core is engaged. Let's begin to lift the head. We're going to lift the neck and the shoulders up. We're going to take a crunch. And let's begin to float it down. Core stays engaged. Let's begin to lift and lengthen up. And lower. And take this one at your own pace. We'll just move to the rise and the fall of the breath. Now, we don't want to be cranking the head here, so we just want that very gentle support of the head. And we want to be very mindful of our breath. So we want to inhale and exhale deeply. Try to breathe through the nose, really try to have that control of your breath. And then although we're doing this, it could be a little challenging. You might feel that you want to hold the breath. Try to breathe those deep diaphragmatic breaths. We want to breathe into our stomach. We want to breathe into our ribs. And we want to breathe into our chest. Good. Let's come on down. We'll bring our knees into our chest, arms, hands around knees or shins, and we'll take a gentle rock to the right and off to the left. Now let's take legs to 90-degree angle. We'll gently support the back of the head once again. So feet are going to be off of the mat. We are having our knees in line with our hips and then our heels in line with the knees. We are going to create that sensation of tucking the tailbone again. So really ground down into where the navel would be if it was on our back. So we're going to really press down there. Let's begin to lift the head, neck, shoulders up, and begin to lower. Begin to lift and lengthen up. Come on down. And begin to flow here at your own pace. We're going to take this into bicycle crunches. So as you twist to the left, let's straighten out our right leg, and we're going to have our foot aimed to where the wall and the ceiling come together. We'll reset back to center. We're going to twist off to the right. So try to take that left elbow to your right knee. We'll reset back to center. And we're just going to flow side to side here. Now, as you're flowing, really activate your feet. You could point your toes. You could flex your feet. You could press out through the 2 ball mounds of your foot right at the front there. And we're going to breathe into that twist for our stomach. for our ribs, for our chest. And then we're also going to breathe into that back body twist. We're going to breathe into our low back, mid back, and upper back. Let's release that one. We're going to come on out, knees to chest, hug them in, rock to the right, and then rock to the left. We'll begin to roll through the spine. So we call this one a rock and roll through the spine. We're going to roll on up, and let's try for a boat pose here. So we'll come into a pose called Navasana, a little bit of a balance. Again, this is a great core one. So you can grab onto the backs of your legs, really try to lengthen your spine, open the chest and the heart. Feel free to stay here. You may want to shift back a little bit. So maybe those legs are lifting up. There's also a variation where you release the arms. There's also a variation where the legs are straight, arms are reaching up. And if you're feeling extra flexible, there's a variation where you take your index finger and your middle finger and your thumb. You reach around the big toe on each foot, and then you work on straightening out your legs. Now let's try to feel that the spine is as straight as possible. We don't want to be rounding our back here too much. And we're going to release. Let's float ourselves into cross legs. And then if it feels okay, let's roll on over. We're going to land in a tabletop position. As you take your table pose, knees are in line, hips are in line, wrists and shoulders are in line. We are going to take a moment here to work with our wrists. So let's flip those wrists over. So you're going to have your fingertips pointing in towards your body. And this will be really good for opening up these muscles here. So if you know that you've been typing a lot through the day at the keyboard and you've been on your phone a lot, this is really going to help open that up. So if it's very intense, you can always back out. Now, to intensify the stretch, you're going to draw the weight into your fingertips. And you might even feel those palms gently peeling off of the mat. And sometimes a little rock forward and back is just really helpful just to ease you into the stretch. So we'll just give ourselves a nice deep full inhale here and a nice deep full exhale here. Good. Now let's try to flip those wrists. We're going to take our fingertips out to the sides of the room. And then again, if it feels okay, we're just going to do a little rock. You probably won't feel as much of a stretch here. Just gives you a little different stretch. And we'll come to our traditional table where fingertips are pointing forward. And then let's just do a little rock forward and back. Now on this one, as you bring the weight forward into your fingertips, you might feel that opening in the wrist a little bit more. Good. We're going to come to a neutral spine. Toes will curl under, and we are going to sit back onto our heels. So we're going to open up the bottoms of our feet. It's not always the most comfortable, but it's definitely very good for our feet to do this one. Let's take another wrist release. Fingers will interlock, palms will touch, and we're just going to circle out through the wrist a bit here. And reverse. We'll flow in the other direction. And let's shake it out a little bit. Great job. We're going to come on forward into tabletop and then tap the tops of your feet out a little bit. Good. Let's come into a child's pose on the exhale. We're going to take those hips back to our heels. Let your heart come down. Let your head relax down. Now in child's pose, we have a couple options here for alignment. Either your knees are together, that will help you open up your low back. So really nice low back stretch. And if you wanted a little bit more of a hip opener, you could take your big toes to touch and then have your knees away from one another. And that's a really good hip and leg stretch. So from here, we're going to begin to just float forward into an up dog. So let your core engage. And then we're going to just gently drop the hips down, open the chest, and open the heart. Let's float ourselves back through to a child's pose. Give yourself a breath here. And then when you feel ready, we'll ripple forward through the spine. Hips will soften forward and heart will open. Good. Let's go a few more times at your own pace. So this will be a really nice opportunity to open up the spine. Now, if up dog is feeling too challenging for you today, know that you can always modify. So you can always take a bit of a gentler back bend, not coming into it so deeply. Or modifications would be Sphinx pose and Cobra pose and upward facing boat pose. Now, when you're ready, let's meet in a down dog. So toes will curl under. We're gonna float those hips to the sky. And shake out the legs a little bit here. So let's bend one knee and bend the other knee. And maybe relax your head yes. And relax your head no. From here, let's try that transition. We're gonna try that down dog to an up dog. So we're just gonna float forward, gently lower the hips, open up the heart space. Toes will curl under, hips to the sky. Give yourself that breath here. Core engages, ripple forward through the spine. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Good. Let's take this a few more times. And maybe just flow at your own pace. So that's a really nice thing about yoga, just really linking up with your breath, flowing with your own breath, with your own body. As you come into your down dog, let's take our right leg up to the sky. And from here, we will begin to circle our knee. Maybe find large circles here, maybe find smaller circles here. And reverse, we'll flow in the other direction. Leg back through to the sky. Let's step it through, finding a runner's lunge. And then as you take your runner's lunge, let's begin to bend and straighten the front leg. Now, as you're going through this stretch, we'll work a bit with our hips and legs here, do a bit of stretching and also strengthening. If this is feeling challenging, left knee, let's bring it down to the ground and then just bend and straighten. That's going to make it a little easier. And also, if this is feeling challenging, hands on blocks could make it a little easier. So feel free to grab those yoga blocks if you have them. Now from here, let's bend into our right knee, springing off your left foot. Let's try for a warrior three pose. We're going to come into a balancing warrior. And as you come to your balancing warrior, there are a lot of different options with the hands. So maybe hands at your heart. You could reach your hands out in front of you, and you can also take your arms alongside your body. So you can see what feels best in your body there. Let's come back to a runner's lunge. Straighten your right leg, and let's fold on over for a moment. Try to let your spine relax. Head relaxes and neck relaxes. Right knee will bend. Core engages. Let's come on through. Back into warrior three pose. Now imagine that your back was very flat and even here. So you might have to roll that left hip down a little bit. Imagine you could put a block there and balance it. One thing that's really common is this left hip to be very lifted and then rolled up. So let's try to roll it down. Try to create that nice, even, low back. Bring it back to runner's lunge. Right hand to the sky. Let's twist on exhale. We'll find our runner's twist. And then as you're twisting on your in breath, feel your spine lengthen. On your out breath, allow for your twist to deepen. Right hand comes down. Warrior 3, let's bring it through. And then as you're aligning here, try to have a neutral gaze down to the yoga mat. So you really want to lengthen the back of the neck. Feel yourself reaching and stretching through the crown of your head. Let's come into Warrior 1 from here. So we're going to bring our left foot back, left heel lowers, hands reach up as you breathe here. This one is called the Virabhadrasana Eka in Sanskrit. Ground very firmly into your feet and gently encourage your left hip forward, right hip back. Let's try for a bit of a shoulder release here. We'll come to Yoga Mudra. Fingers will interlock, palms will touch. Imagine squeezing a pencil in between the shoulder blades. Lengthen and come down on exhale to fold. And try to relax the fronts of your shoulders. And just noticing if that helps you move a little deeper into your shoulder stretch. Begin to release. Let's float ourselves down up into our Warrior 1 pose. Hands will come down to the mat. Let's bring it down into our runner's lunge. Coming into a fold with our legs crossed. Left foot comes to the upper right edge of the mat. Line your toes up. Line your heels up and then fold over the fronts of the legs as you exhale. Maybe draw your weight forward into your toes. Send your weight back into your heels. Maybe shift your weight to the right and maybe shift the weight to the left. Let's step ourselves back to down dog. Left foot back to down dog. Right foot back to down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's bring that left leg up. We're going to circle through that knee. We'll go 3 times in this direction. Reverse, flow in the other direction. Leg to the sky. Let's bring it through. Runner's lunge. Begin to bend and straighten your front leg. Now, as you're flowing here, just finding your own rhythmic flow. So on the exhale, feel your legs straightening. And then on the inhale, feel your knee bending and moving forward. Left knee bends. Let's come forward into Warrior 3 pose. Feel very grounded through all the parts of your left foot. So we'll press through the inside, through the outside. And then notice your body's natural tendency if you tend to roll in or you tend to roll out. Runner's lunge. Left leg straightens. To intensify your stretch, feel free to bring that right hip forward and then try to feel your left hip pull back a little bit. So we really want to balance off our hips and balance off our low back. Left knee bends. Warrior 3, let's float it forward. Virabhadrasana tree. Feel yourself grounded in that left foot and also find your drishti. Find that focal point, one spot to focus your concentration and to focus your awareness. Runner's lunge. Left hand rises. Let's take our twist here. And then as you're twisting, if you want to invite more challenge, try to bend deeper into that left knee. Really drop those hips down. Get into that really nice hip opener. Left hand plants. Float it through, Warrior 3 pose. Maybe imagine if you saw yourself from the side that you could create a capital T shape in your body. So we want this long line from left heel to left hip and then long line from right heel to the crown of the head. Let's find Warrior 1 this time around. Right heel back and down, hands reach up. Deep bend in that front knee, hips and shoulders squaring forward. Hands behind your body, fingers interlock, palms touch. Let's lengthen. Come on down to fold on exhale. And then as you're folding, see if you can relax your neck and head a little bit more. So we tend to hold a lot of tension there. Just see if you can let your head and neck relax and release with each exhale. Core engages. Let's begin to rise on up. Warrior one. Hands come down. Let's put it to runner's lunge from here. Coming into a fold with your legs crossed. Let's take our right foot up to the upper left edge of the mat. Line your toes up. Line your heels up. And then fold over the fronts of the legs as you exhale. Maybe draw the weight forward into your toes, send your weight back into your heels, and then maybe shift the weight to the right and shift the weight to the left. Let's bring that right foot back into down dog. Left foot meets it. Let's engage the core. We're going to come on forward into plank, high push up, knees up or down, lower down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Let's try to relax our shoulders away from the ears. Press back to down dog on the exhale. Right leg, let's float it up. You can bend the knee, stack, open through the hips. Let's take a big step with that right foot to the top of the mat, and we'll rise on up for warrior two pose. Getting nice and grounded in your feet. Maybe imagine that you could pull your feet in towards one another. So really activating all of the muscles there. Let's come into reverse. We're gonna float it up and then float it back. So your back hand can glide down your back leg. Maybe wrap your arm around your low back. Reach for the other hip crease and take a half bind. Core engages. Let's come on through. Right arm to right leg. Left hand rises. Maybe bring your hand down to the mat and coming into an extended lateral angle here. Top hand to the sky. Arm can frame the ear, create an angle. Maybe arm wraps around your low back, reaching for the other hip crease. Grounding into your feet. Core engages. Let's bring it on up. Warrior two pose. Windmill the hands down. We're going to come to runner's lunge. From runner's lunge, let's bring that left leg up to the sky for a standing splits pose. Now, as you work with standing splits, let's try for a seated spinal twist here. It's going to be a lot of following directions on this one because I feel like it can be a little tricky. So we're going to take our left foot to the right side of our mat. And we'll want there to be some distance in between the feet. So I find the more distance between the feet, the better that is, the easier the stretch is. Now I'll bring weight into my hands and weight into my right foot. I'm going to get light on that left foot, come right up onto the top of the foot, bend into the knees. And as you bend into the knees, your left knee moves to the outside of your right foot. Your left hand can use that space to find a spot for you to sit down. And then once you're seated, try to get nice and grounded here. Press up, align. If this is feeling too much on your knees, left leg would just straighten out in front of you. And that would be a half twist. If you feel that it's accessible for you, try to plant this right foot down. This is a half seated spinal twist. Hands are going to reach up on the inhale. Let's take a twist to the left on exhale. This takes us into an open twist. See if you can get that right shoulder to roll off towards the left side of the room, and then see if you can get this left shoulder to roll back to the right side of the room. So rolling behind you. Hands will come up. Let's take a nice full inhale here. Hands to the right. So we're going to release. Left arm can wrap on that right leg. You can also take the arm in front of the knee if you wanted. Sometimes that will kind of anchor you in, can give you a little bit more twist. Bring yourself back through to center. We're going to float our hands up to the sky. Full breath here. Hands come down on exhale. So let's try to come out of this pose the same way that we came into it. So what we'll do is begin to bring your weight forward into your hands. You're going to ground into your hands and then ground into that left foot. And then we are going to take our right leg up to the sky and we're going to come back to standing splits pose. Give yourself this opportunity to square your hips and to square the shoulders down. Let's take our left foot to the back of the mat for a down dog. Right foot will meet your left foot. Let's take that left leg up this time. We will bend, stack, and open. Get a nice little hip opener here. Reset to 3-limb dog. Left foot comes through. Grounding into your feet. We're going to rise up. Landing in warrior 2 pose. Maybe gaze down to your left knee. Make sure that your knee is tracking in line with the second and the third toe. We don't want that knee to come into center line too much. Let's take that left palm up and back. We're going to bring it into reverse. Maybe imagine from the hips down that you're in concrete. So you really want to get nice and grounded in those legs. Core engages. Let's windmill through. Lateral angles, arm to leg. Maybe floating into extended lateral angle if you'd like to go there. And you have your different variations with the top arm, so everyone can find the flexibility in their shoulder, what works for their body. Let's bring ourselves on up. Warrior 2. Windmill the hands down. Let's come to a runner's lunge. We're going to take that right leg to the sky for standing splits pose. So just like with our other balancing poses, we want to find that focal point, one spot to focus concentration and to focus awareness. Coming into a twist on the second side, let's take our right foot to the left side of the mat. Again, find that space between the feet. Feet are going to be nice and wide and also at a diagonal. Bring your weight into your hands and into your left foot. You can roll up onto the top of your right foot. As you bend into your knees, your right knee moves to the outside of your left foot. Right hand will guide you down. There'll be a little space for you to sit down here on the right. You want to press up, get nice and grounded. You don't want to be leaning off to one side too much or the other. And of course, you can straighten out that bottom leg if you need to. Let's take our hands up on the in-breath. We're going to float those hands to the right on the out-breath. See if you can relax your shoulders from your ears. Create a little bit of space here between the ears and the shoulders. Feel the shoulder blades moving down your back. Coming back to center, hands up, inhale, hands to the left, exhale. Letting that right arm wrap on the right leg, or maybe hand comes up, giving you a little bit more stretch here, a little deeper twist. Back through to center. Let's realign here. Float your hands up to the sky. Take your hands to your heart as you exhale. To come out on this side, let's extend our legs out in front. And begin to just shake out the backs of the legs. We'll just give them a nice little release. Coming down onto your back from here. Knees, bring them into the chest. Arms, hands around knees or shins. And we'll take a gentle rock to the right and off to the left. Coming into Supta Baddha Konasana here. Soles of the feet will touch. Insides of the feet roll from one another. Knees float open. Arms alongside your body, or taking the hands on the body to connect. Maybe close your eyes. Begin to just connect to the subtle rise and fall of your breath. Lengthen as you breathe in. Lengthen as you breathe out. With each exhale, just letting yourself melt into the mat. Tension releases from the mind. Tension releases from the body. Help of the hands. Let's put our knees in together. Knees will come to the chest. Let's give it a little squeeze one last time here. Coming into Shavasana, we'll come into our resting pose of practice. So letting your legs relax, letting the arms relax. Maybe feel the toes turning out, heels shifting in. That can give a nice passive stretch to your hips. Palms can face up, so you have a nice rotation in the shoulders. Letting your eyes close. Just like we talked about at the beginning of practice. So this is thought to be the most important pose of the whole class. So through the class, we really get our mind and our body ready for this posture. Get all the wiggles out. We do all of our shifting and fidgeting. And in this time, we can just be still with our breath and our body. We can also let all of the positive benefits of practice today, just let them integrate into our mind and into our body. Opening the breath, wiggling fingers and toes. And maybe in this moment, just becoming aware of how you feel. Notice your mind, your body in the moment. Feel your mind relaxed, calm, at ease. Feel your body aligned and balanced. Simply noticing the effects of yoga and meditation on your mind and your body. Rolling onto your side, coming into a fetal position for a moment. Pressing up, coming into a comfortable seated position when you're ready. Hands can come into heart space in prayer if you'd like. This brings us into Anjali Mudra. Maybe close the eyes, gently bow your head. We all come to yoga for vastly different reasons. To connect to our body, our breath, each other, a greater purpose, our community. We come to connect. Yoga in Sanskrit translates to union, to join. It pieces together that which was never actually separate. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste. Thank you for joining today. It's wonderful to be here with you all. I hope that you enjoyed practice. I look forward to seeing you again soon. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be back for mindful stretch. That's at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And that's just a 15-minute stretching practice, which is really nice. Gives you a nice opportunity to take a little break from the workday, leave a little bit of movement, a little bit of mindful movement into your day. Have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.